Did you know SBF? You ever meet him?
I interviewed him before.
And
Yeah?
what did you think?
What was your takeaway? Seriously, in the moment, what did you think of this guy?
My interaction with him was, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, whatever, when I interviewed him. And he was just like a normal dude. I mean, I've interviewed a bunch of these people, right? So like, there was nothing at the time where it was like, oh, this is like crazy. But I think also, I saw somebody put like a montage where when he first started back in 2018, 2019, then a couple years later, like, there's physical differences. There's like, you could just tell like he's kind of just like a little bit more agitated. And so you got to remember that like, if you take a snapshot of somebody at one point in time, it's not the same person that they are, you know, a year, 2 years later, whatever. And I think what's crazy is that like this dude was on stage at a conference with all kinds of big name celebrities and politicians, all that stuff. The media, I mean, you put him on the front cover of magazines being like, he's the next Warren Buffett. So it's like, it isn't one single group that I think is responsible, right? It's not the users who trusted him. It's not the investors. It's not
also
just
the media that exalted him.
It's not the media, right? And so like, in some way, in hindsight, it's very obvious, right? People are like, oh shit, of course. But like, to your point.
Did you pick up on it at all when you were interviewing him?
No, and like.
Did he wear that stupid tech outfit where you act like you don't know how to dress? Did he do that thing? That's become hack.
You think that's on purpose?
Oh, I hate it. It's like,
It is hacky.
I'm in the network. What is it called? The social network. Like, ugh.
Yeah.
You know how to dress. You're not a fucking idiot.
I was just chest high on Zoom.
Oh, you zoomed him.
Yeah, zoomed him. So I think the other thing that's kind of crazy about it though is like the reports that are coming out is this wasn't like the whole company knew this either. So everyone,
there's 10 people working there, and they were in like a polyamorous
everyone is rightfully so focused on the
eyes,
users, right? The users lost money. That's bad. That's not good. There's a lot of other people who got burnt that were kind of on the periphery. But also, you got to remember, there's a lot of employees, even if it's only 200 employees or whatever, that work at these companies, and they're in shock. Like there's reports that they're shocked, they're ashamed, they're like all this stuff, and it's almost like they're let down as well. Now again, people aren't going to be sympathetic to them.
And your future, that's on your resume, FTX, so-and-so, so-and-so, how you get another job.
And many of them had funds on the platform. You know what I mean? So like, there's just a lot of collateral damage for this stuff, and I think that it's just, there's no winners. There's no winners in any of this.
That's the thing, man. It's so tricky because nobody has any empathy for people who lose money in crypto. I don't know why we have way more empathy for people who lose money in the stock market. I guess we feel like there's like more work that goes into that. But yeah, like when you lose money.
We've accepted the stock market as a thing. We haven't accepted.
It seems like a real job where this other one, like we all have friends that were idiots and then made tons of money.
But like meme stocks and like crypto have been put in the same bucket. And I think the narrative is just like, oh, it's young kids who are like stupid, who are like gambling.
Yes.
Right? And so like if you're a professional or you're an adult, you're like, I don't feel bad if people lose money gambling.
So you never fucked with any of the other coins at all?
No, I started out mining Ethereum, right? I didn't even know anything. Nobody ever told me about Bitcoin or any of this stuff. So like, I don't think there's very many people who just learn about Bitcoin, never look at anything else, learn about anything else, whatever. Yeah. I think actually what happens is most people, they're like, what's this crypto thing? They learn about a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah.
And at some point they're like, oh, Bitcoin is different than the other things, right? And then they eventually kind of flow that way. And if you look, like there's lots of coins that went up in value. 3 or 4 years later, they're gone. They're replaced by other ones. But Bitcoin has just remained the number one for 15 years because, in my opinion, it's the one that has the most kind of sustainable, resilient value over time.
And you had said that, so Larry David had endorsed them in like a Super Bowl commercial. Tom Brady had backed them financially. And apparently, I think you had said that Larry David is getting, like, they're trying to sue him.
Class action lawsuit.
Against a lot of people.
FTX.
And Steph Curry, a bunch of them.
So why are they being prosecuted, and why are they being prosecuted faster than Bankman?
I don't think it's prosecution. For what I understand, it's like lawyers, right?
Gotcha.
Like kind of civil stuff.
Who's got money that I can sue?
They gotcha. Will they get any money from that?
I don't know how that stuff works.
What's going to happen with Bankman-Fried and the nerd girl?
Yeah, what are the charges against him? Like, what could he get?
I don't know, because also they're not in the United States. They're in the Bahamas. Like you start getting into like this weird world of just like, if you're an international legal person, you probably understand it. But also, there's other people who have gotten in trouble or accused of trouble through this whole downturn, like over the summer and stuff. And like, they're not in the U.S., so like, what happens to them? There's one guy who, I think it's the country of Singapore, maybe, that keeps saying like, yo, we're looking for him. He keeps tweeting, he's like, no, you're not. Like, he's like, I'm not aware of that. Like, I'm gonna go to this event. If you're looking for me, I'll be here. Like, it's like
Crazy.
there's like crazy stuff, right?
With Mt. Gox, did anyone get in trouble with that situation?
That's a good question. I don't think anyone necessarily got in trouble because it wasn't a situation where, from my understanding, it's like there was like accusations of fraud and stuff like that. I could be wrong on that. I think it was more of just like it was a poorly run business, and there was one guy who sold it to another guy, and then like that guy probably ran it even worse. It sounds like, and so it just kind of didn't work as a business, went bankrupt, and then it was like, okay, who has assets left? But I don't think there's accusations like there are in these other cases.
If he's in the States, though, what could his charges be? Like fraud?
Oh, I mean, you kind of look at it as a spectrum, right? Like the people who are most sympathetic to him would probably describe it as like the guy made a mistake. That's what he's saying.
Right.
The people who are the biggest critics are like, yo, 1 million plus users is bigger than, Madoff. I don't think had 1 million people.
Not even close.
Right. Now, he may have had more AUM. I think he had more than 10 billion or something. I don't remember the exact details. So it's like, I don't know how it's going to play out. Right. And then also like another piece of it, right? And I've been getting a lot of heat online. People are like, oh, you did an advertising deal with like the media company and stuff. And we're like, we had a framework. It was like, all right, we're going to work with US based regulated exchanges.
Yeah.
Like seems pretty, simple framework to use.